Sisterhood of the Sea by Alan Graham. After 2 hungry months of waiting, I finally see it. A distant black dot on the horizon, moving slowly through the waves. I let out a sustained cry to alert my sisters. Within seconds, they appear on all the rocks and crags around me. We are awake, and we are ready. Having spied our quarry, I have the honour of leading our song. I modulate the single note of my alert cry into a simple melody. Around this, my sisters begin singing their own parts, weaving into the tune their enticing harmonies. Almost immediately, the song works. From my vantage point, I see the black dot change its course and start moving towards us, increasing in size until its real shape is revealed. It is exactly what my sisters were hoping for. A large sea-crossing vessel. I increase the tempo of the song and my sisters follow, and, as if in response, our quarry accelerates towards us. The excitement we have poured into our song is clearly affecting its occupants. And now, I can see them. The tailless creatures that crew these vessels gather together and try to catch sight of us, the source of this alluring music. They have even begun singing their own song. But the song of the tailless is brutish and chaotic, unsettling and savage. We raise our voices to drown out its nauseous clamour. Our louder voices seem to animate the tailless further. A few of them are now on the edge of their vessel, brandishing large nets. It is as if they are entertaining the notion that they can catch us. Good. That means they won't see what's coming next. There is a loud, delightful crunching noise as the vessel strikes the hunting rocks below. Almost immediately, it is torn in two, spilling scores of tailless from the insides. Our song becomes celebrationary now, as we watch them struggle in the ocean. A few sink beneath the waves immediately. They are the lucky ones. Around me, my sisters are leaping into the water, moving swiftly towards our prey. I need to follow them. Before, all that will be left are the dirty, grisly old-timers. So I dive beneath the waves with one powerful kick of my tail, and I move towards the wreckage. With another lash, I leap above the waves, hoping to identify a target. But to my horror, I see instead that one of the tailless has seemingly captured a sister. Splashing around in the water, it has somehow managed to get one arm wrapped around her throat and has somehow another grasping her long hair. This particular tailless has immediately selected itself as my prey. In its last seconds, it sees me and shrieks the final note of its brutish song. And then I drag it under the waves. It doesn't stand a chance here in my domain. It kicks and punches and is frenzied, but unfocused, the water robbing them of any power. I tear at the loose and edible layer that surrounds all tailless, making swift work of removing it with my fingernails. Then I bite. My sharp teeth plunge through the flesh of its neck, ripping apart its singing organ. There is a crimson cloud of blood that spurts satisfyingly into the ocean. I can feel its veins filling with water, as its all too many limbs stop failing. My first thought is that I might share this kill with my rescued sister. But when I look over at her, I am alarmed to see that she is also violently thrashing in the water, and it takes me several seconds to work out why. For her wrists are bound with a long cord, trailing like weed. And where on a sister you would expect to see a beautiful and powerful tail, there are instead two useless extra limbs of the tailless. I am so shocked by this curious hybrid, half sister and half tailless, that I nearly miss that she is drowning. And I'm suddenly gripped by another fear. What if another of my sisters in all this feeding mistakes her for just another tailless and feast upon her before realizing their mistake? I let go of my slaughtered prey, letting its lifeless body drift down into the abyss and swim towards the hybrid. Her body goes still as I approach, but when I wrap my arms around her, I am relieved to sense that she is not lifeless. Not yet. I bring her back to the surface of the water and begin swimming away from the rest of my sisters and their frenzy of feeding, past the rocks and the crags to the small island that lies beyond them. The ocean begins to run out here, but I drag the hybrid as far into the shallows as I can until I reach the point where the sea is shallower than the length of a sister's fingernail. I bite her wrists free and I place her back on the beach. There are a few seconds when I lie next to her in the wet sand. Is she dead? I reach over to feel for her heartbeat. Then, suddenly, her whole body shudders. Her back arches in an instant and her head lifts up from the ground, violently expelling water like a whale's blowhole. There are a few more deep breaths, and then she turns and she looks at me. I see fear in her eyes, so I attempt to calm her. I flash my widest smile, displaying in all their glory my beautiful fangs. For some reason, this does not have the desired effect. In an instant, she is up, and then I see what purpose these extra limbs of the tailless have. Using them, she propels herself further onto the island. Before I have time to react, she's disappeared into the darkness of the vegetation. For several hours, I lie on the beach, but she does not return. Finally, hunger gets the better of me, and I turn and flop my way back to the ocean and the wreckage. It's all far too late, though. My sisters have feasted, and there is nothing left to eat. I am forced to spend the next few days suffering the indignity of fish hunting. As my sisters lay satiated on the rocks, I scrabble in the water, catching tiny, cold morsels of scaly food. On the third day, my fishing takes me close to the island. And there, balancing impressively on her extra limbs, is the hybrid. She has built herself a small fire on the beach and stands next to it, staring out to sea. She looks to me as if she might be hungry. I slowly make my way to the shallows. When she sees me, she seems unnerved, but she doesn't move away. I swim as close as I dare, and in a small rock pool, I leave a couple of dead fish. I turn and dart away, but looking back, I see her and carefully walk towards my gifts and pick them up. Nervously, she attempts a smile, and I see immediately why she had been so scared of me. Her face is like that of the finest sister in every regard, bar that she has the strange blunt teeth of the tailless. The poor thing. How could she possibly hope to eat with those bony little mouth stubs? Could they even cope with fish scales? I swim out past the crags, and there, with the aid of a large stone, break off the tip from the sharpest hunting rock. By the time I return with it, she is no longer on the beach, but I leave it for her in the small rock pool. This has now become my daily ritual, bringing the hybrid a few captured fish and leaving them for her. And after a little while, I begin leaving further gifts. Beautiful things I have found among the rocks, such as colourful shells or starfish corpses. And when I find them gone, this makes me happy. It spurs me on to find new and ever more interesting things for her. Finally, the opportunity comes around for me to bring the hybrid the most amazing gift I can think of. For another black dot sails into the horizon rocks, and my sisters and I lure the crew to their doom. This time, I ensure that I go straight for the most impressive of all the tailless struggling in the ocean. It is the largest, hairiest specimen I have ever seen, and he puts up quite a fight. Once, then twice, it knocks me back with its giant fists. But then, on the third attempt, I manage to wrap my arms around it, and with a powerful thrash of my tail, drag it under. I want my gift to be undamaged, so the fight continues for some time as I hold the creature down while it drowns, leaving the flesh intact. Then I swim with my gift past the rocks and crags onto the island. The hybrid is on the beach, sitting by her fire and warming the bodies of small fish skewered on a sharp stick. Poor creature. She must hunger for real meat. The fire she makes is so enchanting. It pleases me just to watch it dance as she sits by it. But I have a gift to give her. Given the size, it's hard work, and when I've taken it up as far the beach as I can, I give it one powerful kick of my tail and leave the tailless body beached face down on the shore. I watch excitedly as the hybrid stands. Her face seems nervous with anticipation as she approaches. When she is finally close enough, she slowly reaches down with her arms and turns the gift over. She screams, a high-pitched note full of fear, and leaps back so quickly she stumbles into the water. Her face is twisted in a way I don't recognise. Have I done something wrong? Alarmed, I quickly swim a shark's length towards the ocean, without daring to look away. Breathing heavily, the hybrid gets back up. She looks at the gift. And then suddenly, with one of her extra limbs, she strikes the gift hard. And then she strikes again. She is singing again now. Her sharp, high-pitched song, but it is no longer one of fear, but of anger. And the more she kicks, the angrier the song seems to become. It is a song unlike any I've heard before, but it is, in its own peculiar way, exquisite. Then finally, she stops, exhausted. There's a pause as she recovers, and then she reaches down with both her arms and begins dragging the gift up the beach. Instinctively, I follow. I can't help myself. I go further up the beach than I've ever been. She makes slow progress, such is the size of the gift, but I follow, equally slowly. I'm out of the water now, dragging my useless tail behind me. She reaches her fire and picks up the sharp rock that was my first gift to her. I watch with a single motion as she uses the rock to tear a strip of flesh from the tailless gift. She then looks up and smiles at me. I smile back, my fangs fully displayed again. And this time, in response, her smile gets even bigger and more beautiful. And without taking her eyes off me, she skewers her strip of tailless flesh and holds it to the fire. I think we might now be sisters.